Hi, I'm Phil, and we're going to continue our videos on clocks and timers. And here we're going to emulate the time timer that you see here on the photo, and we're going to use microbits LED array for that. So when you look at time timer, you've got the red area is the time that you've got available. And on the right, we've got a time there of 45 minutes to complete our task. And for this demonstration, the microbit LED array will try to copy that. So the red area, or the area on the microbit LED array where the LEDs are on, that's the time that you've got left. So we've got 5 by 5 or 25 LEDs. So we've got a maximum of 25 minutes. But for the purposes of this workshop, we're going to cut the time down for testing so that there's only a delay of 1 second between each of the LEDs. Okay, so to set the time on the time timer, you just simply move the timer dial to the time within 1 hour. So tasks, the maximum time you can have on a task is 1 hour. And when time is up, there's no red area that is shown. Okay, so where would you use timers? Well, you could use them to make sure you spend enough time washing your hands. You could use it in the kitchen as an egg timer. And you could use it on the traffic light. So we've got one of the traffic light timers on display. Okay, so the wearable timer that we've got is going to count down. It'll be battery powered, and it will give alarms when time's up. So it will actually show you how much time is left by the number of LEDs that are still on. And right at the end, the vibrator will go off as an alarm, and you'll get a text message that time's up, and the microbit will play some music. And here's the code for doing that. And just like the other program, we start off on the left with the on start block. Then there's the forever. Then on the right, we've got blocks that do the event programming when you press buttons. So when you press button A, it will show all of the LEDs and putting the LEDs and the timer in a state ready to count down. And if you press button B, it will set the timer to the start timer value will be false. And that all that does is just halts the time. And if you press button A and B together, it will reset the timer. And if you want to increase, instead of having 1 second between each of the LEDs, you can increase that by pressing the logo button. Okay, so in the forever, we're actually unplotting each of the LEDs, and we're tracking those with the coordinates of X and Y. So number X shows the X position of the LED, and Y shows the Y position, or which row the LED is on. And then we wait for 1 second and increase the X number. And when we're at the maximum number on a row, we then reset the column number and increase the row number. So we then go to the next row. And if we're at the last LED, then we show time up on our microbit. Now, this version on your desktop, this is the desktop version, we won't be using a vibrator, and we won't be announcing or playing music when time is up. So how about you go ahead and code that. So here's the wearable version. very, very similar. The only difference here is that when time is up, we call the alarm, and we've got functions here now for setting up the timer and for the alarm. So it's a little bit more structured than the previous one. And after we've done all that, we then set the timer logic variable to false. Okay, so we'll only look at the desktop version. And on startup, we set the numbers, number X and Y to 0, and the time left is 5, and the maximum number is 5. And the maximum number is the maximum number of LEDs on either a row or a column. And in the forever, very similar to what we were looking at before, but on start timer, if it's true, we then turn off with the unplocked a particular LED on number X and Y in the array. And we then pause, then increase the number on our row. And if we're at the maximum number, we then jump to the next row. And at the maximum number of our LEDs, we've reached the time up. And for button A, we just simply reset our LED array and the variables number X and Y, so we can then get ready to track our time. And button B just simply stops the timer. It puts it into a pause state. And if we press button A and B, we reset the timer. And we clear the screen, and we're ready to go. And if we want to increase the time between turning off LEDs on the array, we press the logo button. So all you've got to do now is code that. And when you've finished coding and you've double checked it, make sure you've got all the statements right. You download that either with the middle button on the bottom or the download button. So you've got a choice there. There's the middle button and there's the download button. Okay, so hope that worked. And what were your results? So what did you learn today? And what did you learn about MakeCode? And can you tell me what a real-time clock is and how accurate is it when we use the real-time clock compared to the pause statement? And how could you use projects like this in your life? And would it help you manage your time and so that you can get through the tasks that you want to in the day? Okay, so that's it for now. Here are some references that you can follow up, and you might like to make your own clock. Okay, so plenty of demos. So here are some of the demos that I've got on display. And the first one up, demo 4, is using the Grove real-time clock. So instead of using a software real-time clock, we're going to use a hardware real-time clock. And it's got a battery backup. So when we turn everything off, it even take the microbit out. Our real-time clock is still being maintained with the battery. And here's the software for that. And what we're doing is showing on the Grove 4-digit display on the bottom there, the time, which is showing 11:24 at the moment. So we're able, unlike the previous project, we can actually show the hours and the minutes all on the one display. And here's the code for doing that. Another project, and this time it's actually using an OLED display, and I've got 4 lines here to show the time and the date. here's a different arrangement of the clock using button A this time to increment the hours, or button B to increment the minutes. And we've got a real-time clock also on board, and it's using a different shield that's connected to the microbit here. And here's the code for that version of our clock. And the zip tile clock replaces the microbit 5x5 with a much larger 8x8 LED array. That's quite similar, but we've got a much bigger display to use. And here's the code for doing that. Then we've got the analog clock. So also from Kitronic, it's going to use the 3 LEDs that rotate around, and the red LED is tracking the seconds, the green is tracking the minutes, and the blue tracks the hours. Okay, so this is a hardware, and we can actually turn this also into a time timer. And here are some examples using M5 stack, and we've got the time on this wearable M5 core. And here's the code, very similar to make code. And you can see that I'm updating the display and using similar event programs for incrementing or decreasing the minutes and the hours. And you can do something similar with the M5 stick watch. So again, you've got full control over the time. And here's the program. So it's actually almost identical with the core program. And here's the program for our analog clock. Okay, another program from Kitronics is showing the time and the date with an alarm using a LCD display, which is connected to our microbit. And here's the code for doing that. Another timer, very similar to the other Halo timer, and it's emulating the time function. Again, only with 25 seconds. And here's the code for that. And a similar one, but we've got more pixels here. We've got 42, so we can get up to 42 seconds. And the code for that one. And coming back to the M5 stick, we're going to emulate time timer using the M5 stick C display. So we can adjust the time, and we can then use it for timing our tasks. And here's the code for doing that. Or alternatively, we can do the same thing with a M5 stack Fire computer. And here on the display, we've got 49 minutes left. And the red bar indicates how much time we've got left over, and the code for that one. And finally, the traffic light timer. So when it's green, that means we can do our task. When it's nearly time is up, it will go yellow. And when we have to stop, it will go red. And the code using make code is again quite simple, but we're using rights to the pins to turn on or turn off the LEDs on our traffic lights. Okay, so you can have a look at all those. They're on my YouTube channel, and the presentation is on Dropbox. And the code examples are available. You can have a look at those. And that's all there is for the time being.
Here we have a collection of clocks and timers on display. So starting off on the right, we have the clocks. We have the traditional format of a Lego clock showing the time. And unless you actually get very close, you can't actually see it clearly. And some of the other clocks, we've got a microbit on a bitmaker board with Grove real-time clock. So there's the real-time clock, battery backed, and it's driving via the microbit program a Grove 4-digit display. And we've got other variations on that. We've got the Oli display, again being driven by microbit, and we've got the LCD display there. And here we've got a watch based on M5 Stack C, and it's displaying the time fairly clearly there. Another variation of that is the Big Brother, which is an M5 core computer, and it's easier to see. So we've got the time there. And an interesting one is using LEDs. So you can see the seconds moving on with a red LED. We've got the green for minutes and the blue for hours. And another interesting combination of both a watch and a timer is a reader, a bookmark. So you use this to measure how long you're reading. And the traditional clocks and watches, this is the one my grandfather would have had. And he would have worn this with pride. He was a watchman in Glasgow. And so that was his watch. And not to be outdone, my grandma gave me this watch, a much bigger one. So there's some of the watches. And another one is this one for people with autism. It can go between a watch and a timer. And so we might move on to timers. And the traditional timer would have been the bell. And that moved on to timers like this 3-minute timer, so that you didn't spend too much time in the shower. And they come in different 5, 10 and 15-minute sizes. So there are various versions of that, but the most popular one is time timer. And if you want 10 minutes, you just dial up 10 minutes, and it shows you how much time you've got left in red. So the white area means you haven't got that time. And so there's a big version and there's a small version here. And this mechanical version is slightly different. And what I've done is also to make timers with microbit. And here we've got a couple here. So this is doing something similar to a time timer. And when we want to start the timer, we just press button A on the microbit, and it tells us that we've got 10 seconds left and it's counting down. And there are variations on that. So we'll just let that one go. And some of the other ones over here, there's a, instead of having the small display of the microbit, we've got a much larger display here. And if we want to start the timer, we just press button B, and it tells us we've got 21 minutes. And okay, so that's another variation. This one here is a similar one, but it puts the pixels into a circle. So what we'll do here is start the timer, and you can see that we've got 10 minutes left. Here, time's up over here, and you can see that here all of these ones are actually being driven by the microbit computer. Now, as a variation on that, we've got the traffic light timer. So if you want to get 5 minutes, all you do is just dial up 5 minutes. So we'll only do 2 minutes on this one. So 1, 2. So we'll do the timer. Okay, so the traffic light timer, and a variation on that is the traffic light timer over here. And microbit is driving that. So if you want to start your timer, if you want 10 minutes, there you go. It's going to time, and it'll give you a warning when time is up. Here we are, time is up over here on our NeoPixel. And a couple of variations. We've got the Phive STEM watch is also going to act as a timer for us. So if we want to start the timer, we want to increment it. We just increment it as we're doing at the moment. And we want to start the timer. So the timer's on at the moment. And the red area shows us how much time we've got left. And we get an alarm with the speaker and also on the display. And a very similar, the same program, but it's on a M5 Fire computer. We want to increment it. We just, we've got 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and we can start the timer over here. So we've got 40 minutes left on that one. So that these are various timers and clocks on display.